Finally, Albert Pike wraps up this chapter by noting that everyone has a certain translation of what they perceive to be the truth, and they fight and quarrel and argue among each other. They will take up sword to spread blood because someone thinks differently, understands differently, and believes differently. And it's a complete mass horror is what it is. On page 20, Pike says, "Therefore it is that we shall often be discomfited in combating error before the people. But that's our duty as Freemasons. The Antaeus long resisted Hercules, and the heads of the Hydra grew as fast as they were cut off. It is absurd to say that error wounded writhes in pain and dies amid her worshipper. Truth conquers slowly." Unfortunately, that's the way it is. The truth sometimes takes a long time before it's accepted. At first, it's rejected in many, many instances. There is a wondrous vitality in error. Truth, indeed, for the most part, shoots over the heads of the masses, or if an error is prostrated for a moment, it is up again in a moment and as vigorous as ever. It will not die when the brains are out, and the most stupid and irrational errors are the longest lived. This is the battle we're in, man. It almost seems hopeless, doesn't it? It is not hopeless. Nevertheless, Masonry, which is morality and philosophy, must not cease to do its duty. We never know at what moment success awaits our efforts, generally when most unexpected, nor with what effect our efforts are or are not to be attended. Succeed or fail, Masonry must not bow to error or succumb under discouragement. That's a tough order. There were at Rome a few Carthaginian soldiers taken prisoners who refused to bow to Flaminius and had a little of Hannibal's magnanimity. Masons should possess an equal greatness of soul. It's time to gird up our loins, you know. Masonry should be an energy, finding its aim and effect in the amelioration of mankind. Socrates should enter into Adam and produce Marcus Aurelius. We need heroes. In other words, bring forth from the man of enjoyments the man of wisdom. That's what we need now more than ever before. Masonry should not be a mere watchtower built upon a mystery from which to gaze at ease upon the world, with no other result than to be a convenience for the curious. That is not what we should be. To hold the full cup of thought to the thirsty lips of men. I love that saying. To give to all the true ideas of deity, to harmonize conscience and science, are the province of philosophy. Morality is faith in full bloom. Contemplation should lead to action, and the absolute be made practical. I love that. The ideal be made air and food and drink to the human mind. Wisdom is a sacred communion. It is only on that condition that it ceases to be sterile love of science and becomes the one and supreme method by which to unite humanity and arouse it to a concerted action. Then philosophy becomes religion. And Masonry, like history and philosophy, has eternal duties. Eternal and at the same time simple. To oppose Caiaphas as bishop, Draco or Jeffreys as judge, Trimalchion as legislature, and Tiberius as emperor. We fight tyranny. We fight injustice. We fight error. We fight prejudice. We live to enlighten mankind. We live to defend religion, to gain freedom, to defend that freedom, and to live and die making sure all men are free. I mean, that's a high order, man. That's a tall order. Masonry is not for wusses. Masonry is not for the timid in heart. Masonry is not for the coward. Masonry is not for the weak. No one is trained to be such in Masonry. All of our symbols, our philosophy, our ideology, and our practicality is geared toward benefiting mankind. And that takes guts, courage, blood, sweat, and tears. And that's exactly what we're going to give. Because we do right because it's right. And we do good because it is good. That's the idea. That's the philosophy of Freemasonry. I'm here to say, amen, so mote it be, to what Pike is saying here. Anyway, in the works published for the use of the craft, we are told that the three great tenets of a Mason's profession are brotherly love, relief, and truth. That is how we fight error, through brotherly love. Not the sword, through relief. Not tyranny and enslavement and subjugation, and truth. Not by killing someone who thinks differently than we do. That's not the way. Brotherly love, relief, and truth. That's the way. And it is true that a brotherly affection and kindness should govern us in all our intercourses and relations with our brethren, and a generous and liberal philanthropy actuate us in regard to all men. To relieve the distressed is peculiarly the duty of Masons, a sacred duty not to be omitted, neglected, or coldly or inefficiently complied with. It is also most true that truth is a divine attribute and the foundation of every virtue. To be true and to seek to find and learn the truth are the great objects of every good Mason. As the ancients did, Masons style temperance, fortitude, prudence, and justice the four cardinal virtues. They are as necessary to nations as to individuals. The people that would be free and independent must possess sagacity, forethought, foresight, and careful circumspection, all of which are included in the meaning of the word prudence. It must be temperate in asserting its rights, temperate in its counsels, economical in its expenses. It must be bold, brave, courteous, courageous, patient under reserves, undismayed by disasters, hopeful amid calamities, like Rome when she sold the field at which Hannibal had his camp. No Cannae or Pharsalia or Pavia or Agincourt or Waterloo must discourage Freemasonry. Let her Senate sit in their seats until the Gauls pluck them by the beard. She must, above all things, be just, not truckling to the strong. I love how he words that. Truckling to the strong. Be just. And warring on or plundering the weak, no. We do not war or plunder the weak. She must act on the square with all nations and the feeblest tribes, always keeping her faith, honest in her legislation, upright in all her dealings. Freemasonry, whenever such a republic exists, it will be immortal. For rashness, injustice, intemperance, and luxury in prosperity, and despair and disorder in adversity are the causes of the decay and dilapidation of nations. That is why we care for our own and all others, because we love our freedoms, we love our rights, and we love the peace and harmony that prevails when we defend those freedoms and rights for all mankind the world over. That is the essence of Freemasonry.